Good evening. Okay, I'm on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Glendale Preparatory Spring Instrumental Concert. My name is Rachel Jansen. I serve Glendale Prep this year as Assistant Headmaster of Academics, and it is an honor and a privilege to join with you this evening as a community to delight in the beauty of our students, making music together as the culmination of their hard work and growth in both understanding how to read music and to perform in front of an audience. Forgive me as I read off my paper. Several weeks ago, Mrs. DeStefano stood right here and introduced our Archway Sister School spring concert, and she asked the audience several questions that resonated with me. She asked, how does music have the power to unite strangers? How does it have the power to make memories last a lifetime, to reach parts of our minds, our hearts, and our souls that nothing else can reach, or to make us laugh, cry, or even ache? In her questions, I found myself reflecting on the extent music plays into our experience as human beings. While some may look at music as notes or maybe even just shapes on a page, most can relate to listening or even feeling music as that which transcends language, culture, and even age, connecting us in ways that words often cannot. Across history, music has been a source of comfort, joy, and unity. Many of us in this room this evening do not know one another, and yet, as the ensemble plays various selections, we will be united in the comfort we feel as we recognize familiar pieces and the joy in watching our students making music which has brought us all together. What a gift that all students at Glendale Prep have to experience the fine arts of music in their curricular journey. Beyond the classroom, students have the opportunity to join the GP Orchestra or the jazz band, both of which we will enjoy together this evening as well. So before I hand it over, just a few housekeeping items. We do ask that all phones and devices are silenced and put away. If you do need to use your device for any reason, we ask that you exit and use it in the lobby before returning, but please be mindful to only entering and exiting between ensembles. And then last but not least, if you're using your phone as a camera, we ask that all flashes are turned off. Okay, without further ado, I turn it over to our director this evening, Mrs. Kratz.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to the concert this evening, and thank you especially for sharing your students and their amazing abilities and talent with me. Mrs. Jansen spoke to a number of the things I like to start out with as well. So I have my own notes. I really appreciate that you all have chosen GP as a place to send your children, because we don't believe, by choosing this school, you are choosing for your child 4 years of music instruction that's usually reserved for those in other schools who demonstrate musical aptitude, or the students who have an interest in music, or sometimes even just the students who choose to do band because they happen to like the teacher. But no, we believe that enjoying music, learning music, and participating in musical activities such as this concert, part of to be human. And so all of us deserve the opportunity to step into our humanity to a greater degree. So we are going to begin with 7B. They will start this evening with a piece by one of the most influential composers in all of Western music. In case you wonder how he ended up with so much musical talent, it's interesting to note that he came from a long line of musicians. In fact, his family was so well known for being musicians that in his hometown of Eisenach, Germany, the name Bach was synonymous with musician. Just like today we might say Kleenex if we're talking about a tissue. or Xerox. Remember that when you're talking about a copy. So this piece is taken from Johann Sebastian Bach's Peasant Cantata, which is a secular work written in 1742 to honor a local dignitary. It's funny to note, we usually think of, when we listen to Bach's music, we think of it as being kind of stuffy and maybe a little bit pompous, but he really this was right after he wrote the Coffee Cantata. There was another one where he wrote a whole piece to be performed in an entire evening celebrating the virtues of coffee. It had a piece where a woman sang an aria where she declared that she would marry no one who would not provide her with 5 cups of coffee a day. So think of Bach as being funny and humorous in that way. So we're going to start with "The Chamberlain is Now Our Squire." Our next piece is a familiar lullaby. Our original score was just a straightforward 2-part arrangement, the high part playing the melody and the low part playing a harmony. But it's always important to me to allow students the opportunity to sort of create their own arrangement of music. So we find ways to make the performance our own. The students modified the Chamberlain piece by adding a DC all coda, where we went back to the beginning and played it again. We add some introductions and so on throughout the course of the evening. Ask your student this evening, in all 4 of our curricular classes, what we did to change the piece to modify it from our original form. You'll be surprised at their creativity and thoughtfulness. So here is All Through the Night. Okay, as our first 8th grade curricular class comes up, that was the class called 7B, by the way. I'm notorious for not remembering which letter goes with which group of students. So this is 7B. Here comes 8D. Students in 8th grade have the opportunity to opt for soprano, alto, tenor, or bass. So we have some students who stay on the soprano, and then we have some students who learn the other instruments. Those 4 instrument parts mirror what they're going to be doing in 9th and 10th grade when they sing in the curricular choir in soprano, alto, tenor, and bass parts. It's always amazing to see how quickly students picked up on the techniques, and this class has done a marvelous job of learning their individual parts, then coming together as a combined ensemble. So we're going to be playing 2 pieces for you. D. Les Bourgeonnons is an anthem from the Burgundy region of France of anonymous origin. And then we'll play another French tune, another lovely little lullaby called Fido Do. And our third and final piece for this group is a piece that seems to have started its existence as a French bourrée, which is a dance popular from the beginning of the Renaissance, but it's now firmly entrenched as an English sea chanty, or it might be an English folk dance, or perhaps it was written by a Dutchman in the early 1600s. As with many traditional folk tunes, the beginnings of this piece are shrouded in mystery, but it's even to this day a very popular melody to use as an accompaniment for folk dances. Please enjoy our version of Parson's Farewell. So we have a number of, obviously, very talented and wonderful students. And we have a few that I've asked if they would share their piano abilities with us. I know many, many students have either taken piano lessons in the past or are still taking piano lessons or learning other instruments at the time. And so Lainey Hunter is going to share with us a little bit of her talent. Okay, on to the next piece, the next group. The orchestra you see coming onto the stage now comes to school for one 7 o'clock rehearsal weekly, plus giving up one of their lyceum times and practicing outside of the school day. So they rehearse for about an hour, a little less than an hour a week. Since we do not have orchestra during the school day, this is on top of the intense class load that all students here at GP have to manage. Consisting of students from 7th grade all the way to 11th, this group has really come together and done some remarkable work this year. It's been really an enjoyable opportunity to get to work with orchestra, to work with these students who take the music home, practice it, come back the next time better. I really, really appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. We've had a couple of students kind of add into the orchestra throughout the year, and I love that. I love to see people say, hey, I think I could do this thing, and they're figuring it out and jumping in mid-year, so that's been wonderful. We begin our portion of the concert with a piece that almost needs no introduction, so I won't even bother. Please enjoy a little Mozart. This next piece does need a little bit of introduction. It's by Camille Saint-Saëns. He was a French, sort of a neoclassical composer from the 1800s. And Saint-Saëns wrote a piece, a whole bunch of different works that were supposed to be, he really only ever intended them to be performed for a private audience. But he wrote Carnival of the Animals to give a sense of what various animals sounded like. So there's a melody called The Swan, and there's another one called The Lion. And this one he wrote is called The Fossils. And we're going to end after the fossils, we get to the finale of this work as well. But in Fossils, it's a rondo, and in a rondo, the initial theme keeps coming back around despite being interspersed with other melodies. But Saint-Saëns jokingly referred to all these old melodies that you hear as fossils. Get it? And in a double musical play, the eighth notes that happen in the piano, which would have been on the xylophone, are supposed to sound like the bones of fossilized animals as well. So you kind of hear this musical joking going on. So I hope you enjoy Fossils and Finale. Okay, really, it's been wonderful. It's so much fun to get to play. In the morning, 7 o'clock is difficult, right? It's tough to be there at 7, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up, and I don't want to get. And then every time we have rehearsal, and I like waltz into the faculty office, and I'm like, oh, I just got to play with the orchestra. Like, it's so much fun. It's been really, really a wonderful year. So we are going to finish with a piece that if you attended the spring vocal music concert last year, like a whole year ago, you might recognize this song. I heard the men's chorus sing The Wellerman, and I loved it. And when I was looking for music for the orchestra over the year, I found an arrangement of it. So I'm so excited we get to play it for you. So I hope you enjoy The Wellerman. Here we go. Now to reset to the other stage. Isn't it? It's so wonderful. I know in the program it says thanks to Haven, and I know at the end of the evening, we'll say thanks to Haven Church, but isn't it wonderful that we get to perform in a space like this? Isn't it great? Thank you so much, Haven Church, for letting us use your facilities. So have I mentioned that I enjoy working with your children? Each class becomes my favorite in their own way. They're like, are we your favorite? I'm like, you're my favorite 7A this year. But this class has been a joy to work with in terms of their musicality and enthusiasm. They just want to play music. They just want to make music. It's been great. We begin with a dance by a Renaissance composer named Tielemann Susato. One of the criticisms that we sometimes hear about classical music, or that you might think yourself, is that it's so repetitive. We heard that again, and then we're hearing it again. Why are we hearing it again? It's informative to remember that composers, most of the time, especially with a lot older music, composers were writing music to dance to, not to sit and listen to. And when you're dancing, you want the music to go on and on, right? You want to keep, hearing it. And different parts of the music signaled to the dancers that they were supposed to do different moves or different steps. So you would repeat a section in order to know that we're going to do this particular dance move again. A smart composer then will write in lots and lots of repeats, so the musicians won't get too taxed with having to learn new music all the time. And the dancers will get to keep on dancing. So we took that idea to the next level in this piece, adding our own additional repeat to turn this into an ABA form. You can ask your students about that. See if you can recognize the initial melody, the contrasting melody, and then the return to the first melody. So here is Ronde. Okay, when we first saw this next piece, students speculated whether this was a harvest song or whether it was a song that we sing when we're cleaning up the kitchen. Gathering. Okay, that's funny. It is indeed another dance. It was originally published in a wonderful book called The English Dancing Master by John Playford. If you don't know anything about that, you should go look it up. It's pretty amazing. The melody and the dance are thought to predate that book, though, even when John Playford printed it, by at least a few generations. So please enjoy Gathering Peas. Okay, another one of our talented musicians has agreed to play for us on piano. So we're going to hear Brack Iverson playing a fabulous solo. I remember playing this one as a child, too. So all those of you out there, piano lessons, you might recognize this. Okay, so our first piece with the 8B conscription ensemble, recorder ensemble. Dr. Bookout does that, and people laugh. Anyway, our first piece is another Renaissance dance. Go figure. It was first published in a book for a lute in the 1500s. All in a Garden Green has actually been partnered with Gathering Peas from the last ensemble. Both are love songs, although this was also a dance. This one begins with the words, all in a garden green, two lovers sat at ease. So it's about, sitting and talking. The perfect song to sing whilst one accompanies oneself on the lute. So after this, we will return to that virtuoso Renaissance composer, Tielman Susato, for another dance. See if you can manage not to tap along. Okay, the original title of this piece is The Prince of Denmark's March, but it developed the subtitle Trumpet Voluntary because it was originally written for the organ. That makes sense, right? Actually, it does make sense because the organist is supposed to use the trumpet stops. So it's supposed to, the organ can sound like any kind of instrument, depending on which where they direct the sound, which pipe they direct it through. So it's supposed to have that brassy and bright sound. This is a distinctively Baroque piece with all the fanfare and fussiness of the 1700s. Here's Trumpet Voluntary. Really, I only talk to give the students enough time to get set up, so there's not much dead space. Maybe. The jazz band is our second extracurricular instrumental ensemble. These students, it's also a 7 o'clock in the morning rehearsal, and it's also kind of a drag to get here. And then we get there and we play, and I'm on cloud 9 for the rest of the day because the students play so well, and it's a lot of fun. We are blessed to see both of our groups growing, and more students are joining the instrumental ensembles. And I look forward to getting to talk to more of my current students about their potential future interest. Many of the students that are here hadn't played an instrument at a different school or, before they joined the jazz band. I always say you need to know how to play the instrument a little bit. So I found out later that I had one student who showed up the first day of jazz band rehearsal with the instrument and had never actually put it together. And they just sat down and played. So really, the work that you're doing, students, on recorder, sets you up very, very well for playing just about any wind instrument that you wanted to do. So just a little plug. The first jazz piece we're going to play is a standard, which means that everybody who's anybody in jazz knows this song, can play this song, has played this song. So it's really a well-known piece that everybody should know. Written in 1931 by Duke Ellington, it was one of the first pieces to use the term swing to refer to the way jazz musicians play eighth notes. We don't play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When we swing, we play do ba do ba do ba do ba da. That's like that. So you'll hear them playing that in It Don't Mean a Thing if it ain't got that swing. Okay, before we play our final piece, it's important to recognize a student without whom I don't know whether the jazz band would have been able to exist. So, starting with the first extracurricular group I led back in 2021, in which 3 students and I sat in a circle and played duets and trios, and Cooper brought his snare drum and played snare drum, do you remember that, with a couple of other students. He's been a part of every performance I've ever had. Do you know how many musical performances you've had in your career here? Quite a few. In addition, you would have noticed if you had been at the choir concert last year, Cooper participating in everything he can participate in choir as well. It's been my distinct pleasure to watch Cooper grow, mature, and improve, and I wish you every success in college and beyond. Thank you for sharing your enthusiasm, your amazing sense of rhythm, and your explosive drum set playing with the jazz band these last 4 years. This is Cooper's last music concert of his GP. Let's thank him and wish him well. Okay, here is a piece made, oh, by the way, any drum set players out there? We have an opening for next year. Here's a piece made famous by the Glenn Miller Orchestra, and we're happy to share it with you. We will have a few solos, so I'll ask the soloists to stand up at the end to be acknowledged. So here we go with In the Mood. Okay, it's time for our final song. So 7th grade, 8th grade, we'll come back up to the stage. We end our concert with our school song. It'll take a minute for all of 107 people to make it onto the stage for this. It's a song about a young man who's both a warrior and a musician, strong in body and in soul. The ultimate classically educated individual who is the kind of person that we aspire to be, both a musician, an artist, a craftsman, but also tough, amazingly tough. We'll play for you first, then I will ask you to join us, so you might want to follow along with the words on the back of your program the first time through. Get yourself familiar with the melody. And we'll play, then I'll stop, then we'll start it again, and then I'll invite you to join us in singing it. So thank you very much. Did I happen to mention I've really, really, really enjoyed working with your children this year? Thank you so much for sharing them with me.
We will end the night with some gratitude. One more round of applause for Haven, our wonderful hosts. Behind the scenes always, Mrs. Mooberry, our Director of Operations, who handles all of the logistics. And when I'm asked to fill positions, you hire a Mrs. Kratz to teach 4 music classes, and they did a wonderful job. And that's great, but she also has this vision, this calling, this desire to create beauty. And so before her, there was no jazz band, there was no orchestra. And so show her our appreciation for going above and beyond what's asked of her. So we have some refreshments in the lobby. Take your trash with you and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.